100% of entrepreneurs will be the bottleneck in their business. Not once, but several times. It happens to the best of us. It will happen to you, and nobody talks about it until now. Hi, I'm Laurent Autin, the Bottleneck Coach. My job is to get entrepreneurs unstuck when they become the bottleneck in their business. But what does it mean to be the bottleneck? How to diagnose it? What are the symptoms? And most importantly, how to get out of it? These are some of the questions I cover in this podcast. So join me every week as I ask entrepreneurs to share their experiences on how they've cracked the entrepreneur bottleneck. This is episode 134. We are blessed today as my guest is Aytekin Tank, the pioneering WYSIWYG online form builder, CEO and founder of Jotform, which Entrepreneur Magazine named one of the best privately owned companies in America. In 2016, that was like 10 years after Jotform was founded. Today, in 2023, Jotform serves over 20 million users worldwide and employs a team of more than 500. In addition to his role as CEO, Aytekin is also a productivity and automation enthusiast, obviously, and have recently authored the book Automate Your Busywork, Do Less, Achieve More, Save Your Brain for the Big Stuff. Hey, Aytekin, thank you very much for joining me today.
Hello, Lauren. Great to be on your show.
You know what? It's going to be great because we're going to talk about bottlenecks. I know you love bottlenecks. I
Yeah,
love bottlenecks.
I love that
So
stuff. Yeah.
that's one thing we share in common. But one thing is that you also love writing. And you wrote a book, as I mentioned, but you also been writing many articles. And one of your recent articles on Fast Company is titled Your To-Do List is Sabotaging Your True Productivity.
Yeah.
How is that?
So here's the thing. I mean, to do lists are fine, but the problem with to do lists is if you try to do everything with to do lists, that they don't work really well.
Mm,
Because and I have a better strategy that I called the hunter strategy. So the hunter strategy is in the like back old, like when humanity was actually before the civilization, right? When we woke up, like we didn't create a to-do list. What we did was we would feel hungry, so we would go hunt food for ourselves, right?
yeah,
um, and and we had a single thing in our mind, and we would go for that, and we would achieve that, and only after that we would look into other things. So the problem with to-do list or like inbox and all those getting things done things is that the prioritization is messed up. So it's like, you know, so one of the things I never do in before noon is to check my emails. I
mm,
never check my emails. I never check my to-do lists. What I will do is I will try to figure out like what's my hunter strategy for today. Like what's the most important thing for me today to accomplish, and sometimes it's very obvious, like I have something really important for my business that I need to work on. Maybe I'm just writing a chapter for my book. Maybe I'm thinking about a problem, but most of the time it's actually not obvious. So I will give myself time to figure that out. So what I do is I use Mac, and I use this app called IA Writer um, for Mac, and basically it's just a text editor. There's nothing special to it except that you can make it full screen. You can make it like black background. So every morning I will launch IA Writer on full screen, and the only thing I see is a blinking cursor. Like this is this black screen, and I have one
Mm.
of those good like Mac monitors, and on that like there's a blinking cursor. That's it, and I will just start typing whatever that comes to my mind, and that's basically something called morning pages by Julia. I forgot her first last name right now, but uh, so there's a book about that, and so every morning I start typing, and whatever comes to my mind, and as time goes on, that I will figure out like what's the most important for me to work on today, and I give myself that time because like we all like we sometimes wake up tired,
Mm.
confused, depressed, sick, whatever happens. I just need some time. I have my coffee. I usually go to gym in the morning as well. So I go to gym. I send my kids to school. I go to gym, and I have my coffee, and I'm just thinking about the day, and I will work on that the most important task of the day first, and and I don't look at my to-do list. I don't look at my email inbox because the problem with to-do list is that everything has the same priority. Like you have the, get the milk for house is same priority as like apply for grad school or like, create this big strategy for your business. And
Mm.
not like there's this there's this productivity tool called productivity it's called Eisenhower matrix, and Eisenhower actually said that he said that like I have two kinds of problems. The There are the urgent ones, and they are usually not important, and there are the important ones that are usually not urgent. And the problem is we are always working on like those urgent and important problems or urgent and unimportant problems, but the important things is like the urgent and important problems are just obvious. So and but they happen very seldom. But
Yeah.
what everyone is like the biggest problem we have today is like we have so much things going on. Like everybody is busy. And my book is actually called Automate Your Busy Work for a reason. Everybody is so busy these days. And I'm also so busy. But it's important that you take the time to work on the important things, and it doesn't happen by itself. Like you have to time box it. You need to like really schedule it, and the best time like this is different for everyone. Like the best time to work on important things for me is the morning time. I go to gym, I send the kids to school, I go to gym, take shower, and sit, have my coffee and sit in front of computer, this blank screen with cursor blinking. That's when I'm most productive, when I'm most creative, and I make sure that I don't waste that time with like busy work, with my cleaning inboxes or cleaning my to-do lists. I'm sure to-do lists are important because you don't want to forget about stuff, but they
Mm.
shouldn't be your higher priority. They shouldn't take your most important time. And that's what I do until like from like 9:30 to like noon. That's like those 2.5 hours is like my most productive time, and I'm really excited about the work and being creative, and I used that time well. And after that it's like it's downhill. Like my attention is lost. Like I cannot think well. So I use that time to process my emails, do meetings, and check my to-do list, things like that. But it's important that and this is really, and you know your podcast is for entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
and as entrepreneurs we have like really important things, like if we have a product or service, how do we find clients or customers for our product or service? Like that's really important. How do we improve our product or service? So we need to make sure that we are spending our time, our most productive time, on those important questions as opposed to other things. Other things you can figure them out when you don't have the same kind of energy, your mind, when you don't have such a clear mind.
So focus on what matters the most first.
Yeah,
That's what you're
exactly.
saying. Yeah. So forget your to-do list because your to-do list can become the bottleneck.
Yeah.
Okay, it's interesting because I used to have to-do lists, like a long, very long to-do list, which turned into failing lists. And now
Yeah.
I'm using a three bullet point technique. So every day I have three bullet points, and that's it. If I am able to do those three things, and some of the things that I do that I wrote on my list, I repeat them every week. They are recurrent tasks.
Hmm.
And when I'm able to do that, I had a good day, and it gives me a sense of achievement. What technique do you use for your to do list? How long is it? The real one.
I actually use email. That's a
Okay.
weird way to. So, so the thing is, when you use the hunter strategy, you don't actually have such a big to-do list,
Right.
because you're constantly figuring out all those important things, and the unimportant stuff is just they are like, they are not that important. And also I try to automate as much as possible. Those, I delegate, I automate. And automation is also, it's actual delegation. You're basically delegating it to a service, and automated service, a product, something like that. And so I try to not have many unimportant things. I try to systematically get rid of those things that are actually taking my time, that are not important, so that I can actually spend my time on important stuff. And I think that's really important, because when you are busy with all the unimportant stuff, it's just very hard to do the important stuff. You can get lost in them. And so I mentioned like the emails. So I use the snooze feature a lot. Let's say someone asks me to do something and it's not very important. I will just like I will just save it for like I will just make sure it shows up in my inbox like a week later,
Mm,
for example. Uh, you know, or if I have to do something, I will just write myself an email, and I will just snooze that email for like 2 days, and then 2 days later I check it again. So it's important that to-do lists are not really they're not controlling me. I'm actually controlling
yeah.
them. And the way I was able to achieve that was using the emails, because I have a system in my emails, uh, and I can talk a little bit about that. I think that's really important. But basically, the system also allows me to, because I clean my emails, that I can also use it as a to-do list, because I can, I will get that. I will not lose it.
So we started talking about bottlenecks, the emails being, drawn into emails, either being sabotaged by your to-do list. You also mentioned, when you don't delegate earlier in the conversation. What other like very common bottlenecks do you see that are very specific to entrepreneurs?
The common bottlenecks for entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
That's the question. Um, so I do actually um, provide like coaching to entrepreneurs. I will usually do that like without like usually people do angel investing and then they provide coaching. I will usually not do that. I will just I like to provide advice and without no strings attached, like just help entrepreneurs with their ideas, what they're building. And
Mm,
the biggest common bottlenecks is like I think the biggest problem they have is they're usually building their product or service behind closed doors. And but here's the thing, that doesn't work, because what you want to do is you want to release as early as often as possible, so that
mm,
your product or service, people are using it, and then they are giving you feedback, so that you can build on top of those feedback.
yeah.
And even at Jotform, the way we build our product is this way. Let's say, so we have these product teams that are independent. They're like startups, like usually like they're cross-functional. They have the designer, product manager, user researcher. front end, back end developers, and they have independence. And one thing we ask them to do is like, uh, as soon as they start the project, we want them to release it within 1 to 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an easy product feature, like just release a version of it in 1 month, or like in 3 months, and then release it to very small number of people at Jotform. Like 1%, they start with 1% of Jotform users, and then they go to 5%. And we want them to have like these active users while developing the product. If let's say, you know, let's say we told the team, okay, build Jotform sign, and because our users, when they're filling the forms, they need to sign documents as well as a part of their form filling. So we need a product called Jotform sign, and then but the team actually starts that, and within like 3 months, they release an MVP version, and they released it to some users, and people start using that, and start getting feedback. The problem is, because the reason this is important is because uh, the entrepreneur or the startup, the team has a different idea, but what people need is very different.
Yeah.
So if you just work on something behind bars, behind a curtain, that like you are gonna be building something that's not what people want, and we try to and then you follow like their feedback, how people use it, what do they do, like are they happy with the product, what do they want, and then you keep talking to the users who use the feature or the product, and then you improve on it. So I think that's a
Yeah.
very common problem, and I know people who have been working on a product for 3 years and never used by someone else, and they say, it's not ready, it's not good. If I release it,
Yeah.
nobody will like it.
This is interesting because so the first thing you're mentioning, I see that a lot among startup funders, especially, but I do see that also with more experienced entrepreneurs. The difficulty they have to get out of the technical solution and then focus like more on our customers. What do customers want? Because
Yeah,
at the end of the day, don't forget who is paying for the bills.
yeah.
The
But
customers.
how do you decide, like, how do you start, where to start, right? I think
Yeah.
that's a big question, and I think it's a really good question, and you should be able to answer that. And
Mm.
the way I was able to come up with Jotform was, the idea for Jotform was, before Jotform, I was working as a developer in New York for a media company, and one of the tasks that I had to do was like create online forms for our websites. Like we had like 100 websites. I was creating like contact forms, like registration form, payment forms, and like surveys, polls. And I was constantly building these forms, but I didn't like doing that. I wanted to find a product that can actually take over this from me, but I couldn't find a product. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm gonna actually, quit my job, and I'm gonna actually build this product, because I know that
Right.
since we needed this a lot, other people will also need it. And as soon as I worked on it for like 6 months. I quit
Mm.
my job, and then I worked on it for 6 months, and I know that it wasn't ready, so I released it as a free product. I didn't ask for money because I wanted and get feedback from them.
Yeah.
And as soon as I released it, like they were like, "Hey, this is really cool, but it's missing like so many essential things. Like it doesn't have the emails, it doesn't send me emails. I cannot customize emails after form is received. It's missing this and that, and and for 1 year I actually improved the product with the feedback from users, feedback from free users, and then I released the paid version. So for the first 1.5 years, there was no money coming in from this product, but I made
Mm.
sure that people were using it, and I was getting feedback from them. And as soon as I released the paid version, like I had like 500 people subscribe to the paid version, because now it was a good product, and because I got their feedback, and I was able to uh, provide them what they need, and
So
I was able to
constant
do that.
constant feedback from your customers is one of the reasons you're so successful today,
Yeah,
you would say.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other common problem I see, the bottleneck I see, is that they are working on the product, but they are not working on the distribution. They are not working on the marketing
Mm.
growth. And okay, I'm talking about Jotform. Like, I suddenly knew how to do these things. It's actually, I released my first product when I was in college. So while I was working for that media company for 5 years, I was actually doing all these side products like on my free time. Like, even like when I was working full time, I would wake up in the morning and I would answer some customers and then go to my full time job. And at night, I would come back. I would answer some other customers, work on a little bit of my product. I would work
Mm.
on, and over the weekend, I would read all the entrepreneurship books. I would go to like Barnes and Noble and read books from morning to night. And
You were very dedicated.
I was prepared for the full being getting full time. I definitely like prepared myself. That's why
Yeah.
that's why when I started full time, I was actually ready. And when I was doing all these, like I had like five other unsuccessful products before Jotform, but I was doing them like on my side, on the side. I was earning some, but it wasn't. They weren't very successful. And the one lesson I learned from them was like, you can build the best product in the world, but no
Yeah.
one will come and find it for you. They are not gonna find it for you. You need to promote your product. You need to do marketing for your product. And like, how do you do that? It's really hard. But so one of the approaches I used was like, there was a business of software forum, and I would go there and I would make comments there, and I like request comments from people. That actually helped a lot when I launched my product, because there was a community that was ready to listen. And I actually learned how to pitch to like media. Like, I was able to like, I found an angle for my product for Jotform, and I used that angle because it was like a drag and drop and everything. So it was a very interesting product at the time, like in 2006. It's like having a web page based product that's like working like a desktop app was like something interesting at that time. It was different.
Mm.
So I used the technology angle to pitch to these different media companies, and that really worked because they wrote about Jotform, and that
Mm.
also brought traffic. And I also learned like SEO, like writing, content, things like that. That also brought traffic. So, and I have this rule, 50-50 rule, that basically what I advise entrepreneurs is like, spend half of your time, 50% of your time on your product or service, and 50% of your time on marketing your product, growing your product, on growth. That includes like SEO, that includes like talking about your product in communities in different places, that includes like, doing networking, and there are many things you can do to grow your product. But if you spend half of your time on growing your product, that's you're going to be, and it really works well, because if you have the best product in the world but no one knows about it, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter, no one cares about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But if you are constantly doing, like, if you are really good sale, like, I actually advise some really good salespeople, and they are really good at marketing sales, but their product sucks. So they can bring people, and every time I meet them, that they say like, I got this incredible customer. Like, they give good names, like really good logo names. And but the thing is, like, I meet them, like next time, like 6 months later or 3 months later, they talk about other good customers. So every time it's changing, because they cannot keep the customers, because the product is
Mm.
not good. That's why 50-50 is important. You want to make sure that your product is also good. If you are losing a customer because your product is not good, it's a good time to just focus on your product or service, so that it's the people you bring are not like having a bad experience and then leaving you. And that's the churn rate. So if you follow this 50-50, and if you are persistent, if you keep persistent to improving your product, your growth, your marketing, constantly, I think you're going to be successful. You'll find success. You're going to change your product, because feedback. Like if you cannot find anybody to use your product, that actually means that you need to change your product, and
Yeah.
you want to do that before you spend like 2 years on your product. You want to spend like as minimal time as possible, get 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 people to use it, and when they use it, they will start giving you feedback. Like, and if they really need your product, they are going to be angry. Like, why
Yeah.
is your product not working correctly? Why are you missing
Good
this
point.
feature already? Like, I've been asking for this feature so many times, and I always tell, like, and I was doing support, customer support for Jotform for the last 2 3 years, by myself. And I always tell our support team that if people are angry, it's actually a good thing. Of course, we don't want them to keep angry for a long time, because this that tells us that they actually need our product so much, like that our product is so important for them, that even a minor feature, minor bug can like make them really angry at us. So that means, like, we really need to make sure that like we are providing a good service, like we have a stable service, um, and it's really important part of their business. And if we mess up, that we are messing up their business. And this that's that's it's not a good thing, but it's a good thing that they get
Yeah,
angry
yeah,
at.
yeah. No, I understand. It's a great point actually. When your customers are angry, it
Yeah.
means they're telling you something you should listen because they
Yes.
want your product. And again, it's all about feedback. You're saying I spend 50% on sales, 50% of marketing, but
Mhm.
that includes feedback. And this is your key message here: is never stop talking to your customers. Always collect feedback. Always ask questions for them. Otherwise, you end up the bottleneck. And now, so what is interesting is that experience you have. But there was when we prepared this conversation together. I
Mhm.
asked you to tell me a story about when you were the bottleneck in your
Yeah.
business. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you remember it,
Sure.
but so can you tell us? It was like two or
So
three
yeah,
years
I
after
just
you created Jotform.
so I just mentioned that I was doing the support for the
Yeah,
last 2 3
yeah.
years. And so here's the thing: I'm a product guy. I love working on products. And I was able to continue doing job for 17 years because I love product, and I love when people use our product. And so during the first like 2 3 years, like we were doing well. People started using our product a lot. Uh, but I wasn't very happy because I was spending all my day with busy work. Like I was spending all my time with busy work. I was doing support, emails. Like my time wasn't spent well because I
Mm,
wasn't actually doing, really spending my time improving our product. Our team was working on it, maybe like we were like 2 3 people at this point. Uh, but I wasn't really spending my time on what really matters, and that's like the making our product better, growing our product. And 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 I was spending all my day in emails. And right at this moment, something happened. Google actually came out with a competitive product. Google Forms came out, and I thought, okay, well, what am I gonna do now? Like, because this is gonna be tough, because I'm not really putting all my you know all my focus on my product, because all my days busy with busy work. I'm spending all my time with unimportant stuff, and now I'm competing with Google. Like, it's going to be tough. Like, and I that was a turning moment for me, and I decided I'm gonna change something, and that was basically automation. And
mm,
I'm a developer, I'm a programmer, and I took like a programming course on middle school, and after that, that changed my life. Like, I couldn't think anything else other than, like, making products, developing, coding, things like that. And and I really care about automation. Like, it's really, I can see that everything can be automated. And that's when I decided, okay, here's the solution. If I can automate everything as much as possible, then I can actually, I don't, Google doesn't have to beat us. Like, I can actually spend my time on important things. And that's what I started doing. And so I was spending all my day HR, accounting, ordering supplies for the office, legal, support, emails.
So you
And
were
I
doing
started,
everything basically.
yeah,
Okay.
I started with emails. Basically, I built the system I was talking about. I started building that priority system so that I'm spending less time on emails and I'm working on my emails by
Yeah.
priority, and I'm prioritizing my time on important things and saving my brain for the important things. And that made a huge difference. And I think that's the reason behind my success. And today
It's so
Google didn't beat us.
yeah.
Forms
Yeah,
didn't
this
beat
the Google
their.
form today is really still basic.
Yeah.
That bottleneck you mentioned is like the classic bottleneck when everything is tied around you and your head is like on day-to-day operations. You said something important here. You said I started focusing on important things.
Hmm.
What what was the trigger? Because it has to come from you. You have to have like a breakthrough moment.
Yeah, I was. It's very easy to get in the middle of like all these things. Like it's very
Yeah.
easy to. It feels like that's business, right? That's business. Like,
Yes.
you are doing business, but basically you're spending all your time with business,
Yeah.
and that's not great. That's not good. And there are actually books about this, like the myth book is about. It says about like you should work on your business, not in your business.
Yeah.
So you should be designing the systems, not be part of those systems.
Yep.
And if you are basically the designers of your systems, that you can continuously improve those systems. But if you're just part of those operations, those systems, then it's just very easy to get lost there. And it's hard to, when you're in the middle of all these things, that it feels like that's the right thing. It feels like you are doing the right thing, and just time passes, and your every day is busy, and next day you're busy again and again and again, and you are doing the similar things. But again, we are back to the Eisenhower matrix. There are important things, there are urgent things, but most things are unimportant. And it's
Yeah.
important that you focus on those important things. You give yourself time. You create time boxes like I did with the morning routine. You create your time boxes so that you can work on the important stuff.
Yeah.
And rest of the stuff, you try to delegate it. And in the book, the Automate Your Business book that I just released a couple of weeks ago, I talk about exactly this, like how you should be building your systems, build, refine, and iterate your systems. To be able to do that, you start from the beginning. You discover so there are three steps: divide and conquer, um, design, design and implement, and build, refine, and iterate your systems. So
Hmm.
in the divide and conquer step, you need to like figure out how you are spending your time, like your time is spent. So one of the things that advice I offer in the book is like something called time audit. You can use your phones like alarm clock or something like that to like notify you every top of the hour, so that you can make a note of how you spend that hour. And at the end of the week, you can actually have a spreadsheet of like what did you do last week. And once you do that, you ask yourself two questions: what should I spend my time on, and what shouldn't I spend my time on? And the second
Yeah.
question is more important: the things that you are spending your time on that are not really important are things that you should be delegating, that things that you should be automating first.
Absolutely.
And so you first figure those things out. That's the divide and conquer step. And just most of the time, those tasks are not like just one thing. They are part of a workflow. So workflows, like the problem with workflows is like they make things really confusing. For example, you're waiting for something from someone else. You send an email to someone and they need to respond to you. So you need to like do this step now and do the next step in like in 2 days. So there are just so many things, and workflows really confuse things because now you have to think about like what else I need to do next, and like so those things they are actually like making you stressful, making you worried about like completing things, and when you don't complete things, that like when you leave things in the middle, it's very stressful. It's you're constantly thinking about that because you don't want to forget that you need to complete them. So uh, so in the book I talk about how you can create like workflow diagrams so you actually understand what you are doing. Like if you have let's say you have a client onboarding or employee onboarding, what is the steps you take. And sometimes it's not just a straight line, sometimes it's like there are like paths. That's why it's workflow. So if the client is this way, like asking about this, then you go to a different path. So once you create those workflow diagrams, once you understand how you spend your time and the things that you shouldn't be spending your time on, the next step is design and implement step. And here
Yeah.
you're actually designing your automations. How you design is a system automation so that so that you can actually delegate those things, those workflows to automations. And we are living in such a great time.
Yeah.
You can go to
And you say
website.com.
you say
Yeah,
something again very important when it comes to bottleneck is that it has to start from you.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
exactly the first part, divide and conquer. It's from you. The problem is always coming from you first because you are the engine of the company.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I think a great way to stop being the bottleneck in your business is to buy your book.
yeah, I don't have to tell the whole book. You can read it, or there's even an audio version. You can listen to it.
Great. Well, I mean, so I
Yeah,
will repeat the title of your book. It's Automate Your Busy Work, Do Less, Achieve More, Save Your Brain for the Big Stuff.
yeah,
Something tells me, I haven't read it, but something tells me like it's very practical, very like you've been all along this conversation.
yeah.
Just one more question for you, Aytekin. Where can people find the book, and how can they contact you if they want to have more conversation with you?
So I have a website, aytekintank.com, my first name, last name.com. And they can go there, they can contact me, they can find the book there. They can also go to like Amazon or like Barnes and Noble, and my book is also available there, and also on Audible. The title of the book, as I said, Automate Your Busy Work. And feel free to contact me about anything. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Aytekin.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for listening. If you love this show, please leave me a 5-star review. Not a 3-star, 5-star review, please. Go to ratethispodcast.com/interviews cracking the entrepreneurship code and follow the simple instructions. It will help me inspire as many entrepreneurs and wannabe entrepreneurs as possible. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.